Hey, good people. This is Rocky with Rocky's Reality, the #1 podcast for unfiltered and unapologetic culture, entertainment, and relationships. Tap in live Thursdays, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as I chat with some of the dopest artists, celebrities, influencers, entrepreneurs, and more. Make sure to catch us live Thursdays, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Roku. See you soon. Welcome to Rocky's Reality. Yay! I be missing my sound effects, y'all. When I do my shows at home, I'll be like, oh, I miss my sound effects. So welcome to Rocky's Reality. If you all were not aware, and happy midsummer, because we are already in the middle of July. I am thoroughly enjoying my summer, relaxing, doing the bare minimum, running the kid around. The 13-year-old, he's in basketball, football, boxing. And then the 20-year-old dealing with her, she's in California. So just all over the place. So welcome to a fellow mom, Dr. Rose Moten, who is a psychologist, trauma healing specialist, author, speaker, and transformation strategist. She is the founder of Bloom Transformation Center, a Detroit-based wellness center that offers both traditional and mental health services as well as integrative wellness practices. She is known as a pioneer for her willingness to challenge convention. I love because she will give it to us on the live, y'all. Okay. And she has introduced proven holistic healing modalities. So I'm not going to read all of this. She is also the creator of Doctor's Delights, the mixers, which are real good. I was just asking, like, when are we going to get some of them more than the mixers, Dr. Rose? So welcome, Dr. Rose.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here, Rocky.
I really appreciate you. Just you are one of the beacons of our community, I have to say, with mental health, because I love the way you give it to us straight. You don't do a lot of technical talk, and then when you do bring the technical terms, you explain them to us in layman's terms. So, and that's why I love how you'll come on live in a minute and be like, listen here, let me get y'all together. And sometimes I'll be watching like, oh, she talking to me.
Oh my God.
She talking to me.
Listen.
That's okay. Step on my exactly. And that's why people will reach out to me like, girl, I was talking to myself too.
Yes.
A lot of times when I'm posting stuff, I'm talking to myself, lessons that I've learned, lessons that I'm still learning and struggling with. And that's the part of mental health, like being honest with yourself.
That's number one. That's rule number one.
Being honest with yourself, because you can tell your therapist, because people will be like, I'm in therapy. I told my therapist. And I'm like, what did you really tell your therapist?
You know, therapy has become trendy.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not saying for everyone. So I'm not one for drawing generalizations and say it's for everyone. But there are individuals out there who I've had patients in the past that will tell me after almost seeing them 8 months that they weren't being truthful with me. And we can't help you.
Did you suspect it though?
I always suspect.
Okay, you know that you like, I know you.
Listen, I always tell people in therapy and in life, relationships, friendships, all of that, if things don't add up, it's because you don't have the whole truth. When things don't make sense and not adding up, it's because you're not getting the full transparent picture. So I've been doing this long enough, 26 years, that I'm a pretty good judge of knowing when a person is not being forthcoming with me.
And sometimes it just takes people to come around to it as well, because we know it, but it takes certain moments for us to be like, I need to tell the truth. I need to be honest with myself. And it's certain things. That's what I've learned too. You can't force people into it.
Force people
because they got to be prepared.
It's a process. It really
They got to be prepared. They got to be prepared. So y'all bear with Dr. Rose. She got a little sinuses, but that's okay. She got allergies. We in Detroit. We know our air quality is so bad here in Detroit.
Has been the worst year. I cannot remember. And they did say it was going to be like that. So I do apologize in advance if you see me pull my tissue.
Yeah, y'all excuse her. But yes, this is Rocky's Reality. We unfiltered, unapologetic. This is the reality of what we go through. Okay, living here in Michigan. But also, I want to remind people this is National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, July, in case you all did not know. Usually, we celebrate Mental Health Awareness Month in May, but this is Minority
Mhm.
Mental Health Awareness. Y'all know we have to have something special for us because
Mhm.
we have so many layers
Yeah.
that are toppled onto us. And I just feel like, as a Black woman, at times, I'm like, what is it that we don't go through? Like, it seems like we are the highest in everything. Like, any health issue is more prevalent in Black people or Black women.
Yes, yes,
It's but I also feel like we're a special group of people. Sometimes I feel
no
like we're the
doubt,
chosen ones
no doubt.
in a sense. And so I am still proud to be a Black woman.
You wouldn't come back as anything else,
And
would
that's
you? I
not at
say that all
all.
the time.
Not at
Yeah,
all.
yeah. Even
Not
with
a,
all that adversity, and
listen.
I wouldn't come back as anyone.
Listen, I
It's
would
something
not want to be
rich.
Becky for any
So,
reason, okay? If I would come back, I would want to be a woman of color, like a
uh-huh.
Latino, Latinx woman. But I love being a Black woman. I've taught my daughter that we're like an elite group. And I told her, you have a responsibility as a Black woman out here. And so I'm proud of her. Shout out to Sydney. She's at UC Berkeley now.
Oh,
And
congrats.
they working the hell out of her.
Oh
She's
my
like, Mommy, I'm so
gosh.
tired. I was like, well,
It's gonna be all worth it. What is she studying?
exactly. She wants to go into environmental justice,
Okay.
environmental issues, climate control, honey. She's all into getting, I call her the Black Erin Brockovich
Yeah.
because she wants to go into public policy. She at first wanted to be an environmental attorney, but then she was like, well, I don't necessarily have to go to law school in order to change
Mhm.
policies.
Mhm.
So the program she's in now, it's through Goldman Sachs.
Okay.
And you are a
Yes.
Goldman
Yes.
Sachs
Alum. Uh-huh.
alum. So the program is sponsored by Goldman Sachs, and it's pretty much a prep for grad school in public policy.
Awesome.
So she's taking statistics.
Whew.
But I know she got math,
That's the
and
class
it's
in my doctoral program. I waited. I saved that for the very last, and most people
girl,
did that.
the
Yes,
struggle.
yes, yes. But
So,
congrats to you, because that says a
you
lot
thank
about
you.
your parenting. For her to have the social conscience that she does.
Listen, that one, and I have to thank the village. When people say, "Oh,
Mhm.
you're a great mom," and I'm like, I know I am, but I would have not been able to do it without my husband, without
Yes,
my parents, my grandparents. Like, the village
it takes a
is
village.
truly.
Hmm.
I was just talking to my neighbor earlier, and we were just talking about how it seems like forever when your babies are little. It's like, are we ever gonna get out of this? But then you look up, and I just really sometimes have to think about this. Like, oh my God, my babies are not babies.
Yeah, you want
My,
time to slow down.
no, I mean, a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm kind of glad they're growing up, but
yeah.
then I do get nostalgic, and what? Not that I wanted to slow down, but sometimes I wish I would have known some things then
Mm,
that I know now,
yeah,
so I could have parented them differently
yeah.
when they were little.
Yeah, and I think I have not met a parent yet who has not said that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
yeah, before we started talking, you said we're still learning, we're still
yeah,
growing. Growth is not a destination. It's not a finite, a finite place
yeah,
that you get to where say, okay, I'm done growing.
yeah.
I'm done learning. But it's important for us to, even what you just said, for your children to even hear that, because oftentimes when your children can see that, okay, mom or dad is still working on themselves,
Mm-hmm.
it gives them
Yeah.
permission not to be so hard and stringent, to give themselves a little
Yeah.
grace. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've told them at times, I was like, I hope we didn't fuck y'all up too much. I mean, y'all forgive me. No, and I've had to really have honest conversations with my kids to
Yeah.
say, Mommy and Daddy are not perfect.
Mhm. Mhm.
We don't know everything. We're still learning. And as you said, therapy is now trendy.
Yeah.
Back in our day with our parents, we weren't going to therapy.
No.
There was no grief therapy. There was no trauma therapy.
Yeah.
There were none of these modalities.
And there's still, unfortunate, a lot of parents of young children who still feel that way. So
Mm.
even when I say trendy, that's a small minority of people who just like saying they're in therapy, almost to say, you can't challenge what I say
Ooh.
because I'm in therapy. You get what I'm saying, right? Like
I'm working
that.
on myself.
I'm working on myself and I
Mm-hmm.
know everything, that type
Mm-hmm.
of thing. But,
Mm-hmm.
I meet a lot of kids when I go out and speak to, especially a lot of these summer camps or enrichment programs for children, who will tell me, I've been asking my mom, for years to go in therapy and they won't let me do it.
Mm.
So, it's still that stigma that exists in our community. And a lot of times it's because of the family, because of the parents or the grandmothers or the village who's saying, we don't need therapy. Black people don't
Mm-hmm.
do that. And we're doing ourselves such a
We need it the
disservice.
most.
Yes,
Really, we
yes, yes.
do. But I like how some of the older generation are coming around to it because my mom, she was in therapy as well, and she I appreciate how, as a mother, she came to me and was like, "These are some things I want to
Good for
let you
her.
know that I'm sorry I did. That I
Oh,
wish I would have been
wow.
better." And I told her, I was like, "You did the best you could.
Yeah.
You did the
But
best
it
you
still
could."
felt good to hear
Yeah,
that,
for her
didn't
to
it?
say
Yeah,
that,
that's rare.
yeah, to for her to be introspective like that, and I think therapy helped her
Yeah.
to get to that. And I don't know if you saw the series Queenie that was on Hulu.
I did see Queenie.
the
Remind me
the
of
young
that.
okay, so the young black
That
girl,
was
she
excellent. I
yeah, she
saw
broke
that.
up with the
Uh-huh.
boyfriend,
Yes.
and she was a news reporter,
Hmm.
and just going through all type of stuff. And her grandma initially was
Yes.
against therapy, but then
Uh-huh.
grandma eventually came around and said, "You know what? I know you need
That
this.
was
I'm
it
glad you're
was
doing it."
BBC, right? It
Yes,
was a
yes,
BBC
yes.
series. That was
Yep,
an excellent
yes,
series. I
yes.
love any. I'm watching season 2 now of Unprisoned. I love
Oh,
that
okay.
as
I need
well
to get
with
on that
Kerry
with Kerry
Washington
Washington and
because
Delroy
yep,
Lindo.
that delves deep into therapy and
Okay.
trauma and
Oh,
inner
I need to get on
child. Yes,
that.
it's amazing.
I love that. And I love TV shows that illustrate
Absolutely. Yeah.
that struggle. So, but I think we need to continue to normalize it. Just like, and as I tell people, we go to the doctor, you go to the dentist. If your car acting up, you gonna take it in for maintenance, right?
Hmm.
We go get our hair done, our nails done. You get makeup done. What about our brains, our
Yeah.
minds?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
need
Our
that. And
nervous system.
yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah.
are because I mean, let's face it. As you mentioned, African Americans, we are just subject to so many of society ills than other groups, and it's so very important for us to recognize that we don't just carry our own issues and stuff, so to speak. There's been studies to show epigenetics that we even
Mm.
traumas can be passed down generationally. So we're carrying not only the stuff that we've encountered in our lifetime here, but we're carrying much of the trauma that our grandparents, great grandparents, and so many of us are walking around with our nervous system in a constant fight or
Mm.
flight stage
Mm.
and don't realize it because
Yeah.
it's become your norm. It's become
Yep.
your baseline to just be triggered.
Right.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
not baseline.
Mm. Shouldn't be.
It should not be. This is how you can see mass shootings on a block party and things of that sort.
Mm.
People are just walking around triggered.
Mm. Do
Triggered.
you think we're still traumatized from the pandemic?
Absolutely.
I
I
think we're
mean,
still. I think we're
we were
still like
traumatized before the pandemic. So the pandemic just really helped to just
right.
really explode
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I think we still, in a sense, because 2020 to 2022 was just like a blur. It was like,
Yeah.
zzz.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think because we were like, okay, now we back outside. Now we got to get back to it. Da, da, da. Sometimes I did not like the quarantine, you all, but sometimes I kind of miss that. I'm gonna be honest, sometimes I miss not having to do a damn thing,
Yeah.
but get up and maybe wash my ass and relax. Like seriously. But now it's like, um, I don't. I'm back to work in person myself, and you know what? I don't miss the traffic.
Yeah.
I was on the lodge the other day, on the lodge with it, y'all. And I'm just like, I don't miss this part
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
I wish
Yeah.
I still work from home
Yeah.
primarily, but I don't miss all that hustle.
No, no.
But I have learned to rest on
I was gonna
purpose.
say good.
I've been intentional about that, and people know that I'm here, there, and it seems like everywhere. But a lot of stuff I'm declining
Yeah.
these days.
It's and that's good because you don't have to wait for a pandemic to give yourself permission to
Right.
rest. But I can relate to you. It was the first time, my oldest son is 32. So I've been taking care
Can
of
we wait a minute? Can we
people.
pause how she said her oldest child is 32 though? Can we look how fine
32.
Dr.
Okay, he'll
Rose
be
is?
32 in December. That's
Listen,
right.
listen.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I had to, cause black women, I had to pause. Do we be looking like
Oh my
you looking 32, talking
gosh.
about you got a 32-year-old? Okay.
Thank you, Hood. I appreciate that. I do.
No, seriously.
But serious, I've been burning the candle from both ends for 32 years. So I feel
Mm.
you. During that pandemic, things were shut down. It wasn't this expectancy to juggle 18 things at one time. Now, I will say the clientele, that was all therapists went through a lot. There was a
Uh-huh.
lot of burnout, and
Mhm.
that really forced me to even change some of my practices
Mm.
during the pandemic because it was overwhelming. I saw more couples in my
Mm.
caseload during the pandemic than I ever had at any
Mm.
point in time because people who had been, married, we still together, 20, 25
Mhm.
years, but it's been come home, that routine. Not
Mm-hmm.
really talking, not
Passing
facing,
ships in the night.
yeah,
Right,
not
right,
facing the issues.
right.
Now
Mm-hmm.
you can't go to your girlfriend's house to get away. You can't go to the bar after work. You
Whew,
can't go on vacation. You can't, you right
baby.
there in this space, and don't
Right.
add kids to the mix, right?
Baby.
So that
Baby.
was a very unique time for a lot of couples that I saw during that
Mm-hmm.
time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hubby and I made it through it, Jesus. With
Congrats.
Jesus,
We need
Jesus.
to have
And it's
shirts
still
that
a
say
work in
we
progress.
made it through the
We
pandemic.
did. Yeah. And I mean, and it's still an ongoing
Absolutely.
thing. And that's why I try to give people a realistic view that marriage is not for the weak. Okay.
Yeah,
So, but I've learned to, you got to work on yourself first. You got to
that's
work on yourself
imperative.
first because I noticed how I tried so much to change him and make him do things.
Hmm.
And like, oh, he need to do this. And then I was like, you know what? Let me start working on myself. Because
Yes.
I ain't got time to
Wise woman.
be trying to, and it took some time for that. And it's still a struggle at times where I'm like, you know what? Let me pick my battles.
Yeah, yeah.
Do I
It's so
really
much
want to,
easier to do this if I
right.
look at how
Yeah.
every person brings their own traumas into the relationship. I don't care. Even
Absolutely.
we've all
Oh,
had some trauma. We've all had some childhood wound or adolescent wound, or even if you were lucky enough to escape that without a wound, you had some 20-year-old wounds. We've all been wounded, and
mhm.
relationships are just this fertile ground for these traumas that you've been able. You don't show it when you first get together because
Mhm.
you wouldn't have a date number two, right? Like, come on now. So everybody's on there, just feeling and floating and feeling good. But after a while, when things start settle, you start to see these things that you have not worked on in yourself. And then that's when
Mhm.
projection comes in, and you're
Mhm.
accusing your partner of being this way or doing something that has nothing to do with that partner, but everything to do with the things and the wounds that you've yet to even identify and work on for yourself.
Mhm. Absolutely. Marriage is a mirror. It's
Yeah.
definitely
Yes.
reflected.
Mago therapy
Um,
talks about that. Yes.
it's definitely a mirror, and it's definitely my husband and I both to this day have to acknowledge, like, okay, me coming from a single mom family, but although I was partly raised by my grandparents because
Yeah.
they live next door and I
Yeah.
would go over there, but my father not being in the home
Mm,
at times, I saw my grandfather as that figure, that dependable figure, and I had to tell him at times when you have not followed through, that triggers me because my own father was not
yeah.
consistent,
Yeah.
even though I had my grandfather.
Yeah.
So I come to look at men as like, you should be dependable.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
I mean, and for the most part, my husband is, but it's like times when certain decisions have been made, and I'm like, oh, I'm not rocking with
Yeah.
this. I have to just be a praying wife
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
realize
Yeah.
that he's operating
And
from the
communicate. And you're communicating. Yeah. Right.
right. I'm definitely going to. I might not always communicate in the right way, Jesus. That's what I need to work on, being patient, Jesus.
Oh
And
my
that's why
God.
again, marriage is a mirror
Yeah.
because your mate will throw it back at you
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
wait a minute now. So it's definitely, but even in relationships too, female relationships as well. And I noticed this thing. I don't know if you can, Viola. Thank you, Viola. She said I was married to a narcissist for 27 years. I did a lot of praying to God. To give me strength and courage to divorce him. Hey, Viola, I ain't mad at it. You gotta do what you gotta do. Listen, listen. Uh, hey, I'm not even mad at it. And that's a trip because nowadays when women say people that say they're going through a divorce, it be like a happy time because people are like, I'm letting it go. And I said, okay,
Yeah. Yeah. There's
y'all
some that can
shedding
be
it.
a very beneficial coping
Mm-hmm.
mechanism. Giving up. And it doesn't
Mm.
mean it's a failure. And so many people confuse that. If the marriage ends, it means you failed at it. No, you
Mm-mm.
didn't. You didn't fail. You didn't
Mm.
fail. You things didn't work out, and you're choosing you. You're choosing
Exactly. Yeah.
your happiness, your peace of mind, and that's a sign of strength.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you got to know when to let go. I was saying that sometimes we try to cuz my friends and I were discussing Sex in the City
I
and the
love that's my
reboot.
yeah. Oh, is it back? Is a new season on
It's
yet?
called
I know, just
and
like
just
that.
like that. Now I haven't watched it
Okay.
because Samantha
Is
was
your
my
I
favorite.
know, I
Okay.
got you.
And when she didn't come back to the show, I said, it's just not the same for me.
Yeah.
I'm like one of those people. I need the same original group members. I can't, it just was not the
She
same
is missed. She is
energy.
missed. Although they do have her doing cameos now,
Yeah,
but she
but
can't
it's
be in a scene with the rest of them.
exactly. And so my girlfriend was like, well, I think they should just talk it out and get over it as grown women. And I said, actually, no. I said, because sometimes it's certain people, there's no
Yeah.
resolution. Closure is a scam.
Oh, I
Sometimes.
say that all the
Like
time.
it's a scam. Like sometimes certain people you are no longer in alignment with,
And it's
and it's
okay.
time to part
I
ways.
call it lovingly release, and I've lovingly released
Mm.
many people from my life.
Oh, lovingly.
Like,
Oh, that's good. How you do that? 'Cause-
you just love. And when I say lovingly to release, I'm not hugging them or sending them. I'm just not. I'm just getting away from that energy. I'm not.
okay.
I'm not participating in that frequency that
Okay.
that person was in anymore. And so we are. I mean, I consider myself kind of the queen of being able to do that
Okay.
unapologetically because my piece is non-negotiable, right?
Exactly.
And so, yeah, I agree. The closure, I tell people all the time, we have this narrative. Oftentimes, people come to counseling or therapy. You just said your mom came to you and apologized. That rarely happens. But the
Mm.
thing is, when people go to therapy, they're looking for that to happen. And looking for that to
Mm.
happen is going to keep you in this
You
loop.
want somebody to say sorry to you, and then people
Yes.
sometimes you got to move on without
You
that
have to move
apology.
on because you cannot,
Hmm.
that 6 year old wounded child, is going to always be there. What you can do
Hmm.
now is nurture that child,
Hmm.
but you can't go back and take away that wound.
Nope.
That wound is going to always be there. You can
You
work on
can't.
healing from it, but you're going to always grieve that 6 year old, 8 year old, whatever, that did not get what they were supposed
Hmm.
to get. So
Yeah.
closure, get even in relationships. When I
Mm.
I have patients sometimes when they know they need to leave a relationship and they'll say, "No, I need closure. We need to talk about it." It's like, what
Mm.
is, I tell
No.
people, closure is the zip on my pants, the zip on my purse. That's how we close things.
Exactly.
There's no such thing
Yes.
as
No.
closure because what closure is someone saying, I need them to admit they did me wrong. That's what closure is.
Yeah. And sometimes they don't feel they did,
No.
or
And
they're not. I mean, they're not sorry
and they're
for
not,
it.
yeah. And don't
It's
even
just
put yourself on that hook where you require that for you to be able to move
exactly because
on.
even if you all apologize, I don't know if I would still be okay.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? They would still take some time.
Hmm.
So, what is this thing? And then after this, I want to get into how you became Dr. Rose Moten. It seems like when we hit our 40s, Dr. Rose, there is like a shedding of
Mm,
relationships. I've noticed this with myself, with friends that I no longer am friends with, and other people in their 40s saying how they go through these like relationship epiphanies
yeah.
where they are like moving forward and shedding. Do you notice that? Or is that
I
just maybe
notice it. It's
it-
not now everybody don't do it, but I think most people need to do inventory. Like if
mm,
most people need to do inventory and really decide who needs to, continue on this journey with you and who does not. Because the worst thing you can do is just keep people in because you say the quantity of time. We've been friends 25 years. I can't
baby?
let them go. I
Uh-uh,
don't care if you've
uh-uh.
been friends, if you were in the womb together. If
Listen.
it's somebody who doesn't respect you, is not respecting your boundaries. I'm big on boundaries, then you really have to make a decision at times that, to lovingly release that
Hmm.
person, to
I
lovingly
gotta
release.
remember
Yeah.
that lovingly. 'Cause I don't always be lovingly. Lord Jesus, let me work on it. Jesus. Jesus. I got to. That fire side of me be ready to. Oh my God. Like I could be sweet as pie, but baby, when I feel unappreciated, I'll be like ready to. I need to work on that lovingly. And that's what I need to work on in therapy
Yeah.
as well. Wait, so how did Dr. Rose become Dr. Rose? Give us the snapshot. And I love the oh, what can I call them? The anecdotes
Uh-huh.
that you about your parents and how they
Oh
affected
yeah,
you. I really
yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah.
But how did you come to be Dr. Rose?
And that it goes back to my parents. Actually, my first major, honestly, was broadcasting. It
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
psychology. Psychology was my minor, but I had an unplanned pregnancy in undergrad.
Oh,
Coming
okay.
out of my sophomore year, getting ready to go into my
Where were
junior
you?
year, I was at Eastern Michigan University,
Okay.
full ride honors program.
Okay. Alright.
And had unplanned pregnancy. And at that time, I kind of told myself the story because I imagined myself like being in different markets around the country, world, what have you. And I told
Mhm.
myself, you have a child now, you have to stay rooted. And I had this belief system that, if you had a child by someone, that meant you are obligated to marry them as
Ooh,
well.
no.
I mean, that's what I believe.
That's what they taught us though.
That's what
That's what
they
they
taught
taught
us.
us.
That's what they
Right.
taught us,
Exactly.
right? That's
Yep.
what they taught us.
That's what they taught us.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
That's what we
so,
taught because that's what the elders.
that's
Yeah.
what the elders did. And
Yeah.
my parents, my
Whew.
mom and dad were married 36 years before my dad passed.
Mm.
But psychology was my minor.
Mm.
And so I decided to do the flip,
Mhm.
make journalism, broadcast journalism a minor. my minor, in psychology, my major. But what made me get into psychology was at the age of 12. When I was 12, my father was just 36. He had a massive stroke, and it left him with dementia, couldn't walk. I became a caregiver along with my siblings who were still in the home. My oldest sister had already left for college. And it was three of us left in the home and my mom, and we all had to, pitch in and doing everything, feedings, changing, all of
So
that
he was
stuff.
not mobile
He
at
was not
all.
mobile,
No.
dementia,
Okay. Oh
so,
wow.
rare lucid times. Most of the times they're
Mm.
not, wasn't oriented to time and place.
Mm.
My mom took such great care of him for 18 years, like,
Mm.
which of course, played a role on her health as well.
Yeah.
But I wanted to, the reason I kind of went into psychology, I wanted to understand what went on with his brain. I wanted to understand, because there was so much, oh, he'll get better, he'll get better. And my mom was such a just believing, faithful, woman. Oh, he's going to get better. I remember, 11 years later, when I'm getting married, when I am marrying the father of my child, my mom's, we're gonna work and he's gonna walk you down the aisle. I was like, Mom, he hasn't walked in 11, but she had so much belief.
Hey,
And
baby.
it was in studying neurology, which is a big part of clinical psych. I'm a clinical psychologist, so my degree is in science, where we have to study the brain. I understood at that point that, this is not going to improve. And, and so that was my interest way. But, it's worked out, because even now, without even me kind of courting it, I do so much media. And it hasn't
Look
even
at
been that
that.
I've gone.
Look at God.
Yeah,
See
yeah,
that?
exactly. We talked about
Exactly.
synchronicities,
Yes.
before. So it really worked out. And my experience, I don't regret my experience at all. I don't even regret, those years I had to be a caregiver for my dad, because it taught me so much that I can use now to help people in various journeys, in their lives. So both of my parents are deceased now, but they laid a very impressive foundation, when my dad was well. I was that daddy's girl. So, I was the one that believed, you can't tell me what I can't do. They had a Cub Scout troop, and I unofficially, I didn't join, but I went to every meeting. Whatever they were
Cub
doing, I
Scouts
was
is for
doing.
boys, right?
And look, that was my daddy. Look.
She the honorary.
I
She
was
the
the
Cubette. You were the
honorary. I
Cubette.
was the Cubette. But they wanted to provide, because there wasn't many mother father homes in my neighborhood, and so
Yeah.
there were a lot of young boys. I have men my age now that come up to me and say, "You're dead. I just respected him so much. You're dead," and I didn't even know people were watching from
Oh
afar like that.
wow.
So they were very community oriented, and they wanted to just give these children, and these young men opportunities. My mom would take them, walk them to the library to get library cards. They would, give them experiences that they wouldn't otherwise have, because they didn't have a father in
Right.
the home. So they left a legacy for me and my siblings that I'm grateful to this day.
Oh my gosh. Amen. Amen. Ooh, rest in peace
Yes.
to them. And Viola, yes, absolutely. Viola says it was let's show that she said it's really hard watching someone go through that. And I'm sure that was for you
Oh,
hard.
absolutely.
And especially as a caregiver. See,
Ah,
that's the other piece we don't look at sometimes. Caregivers. And I remember you saying how your mom's health
oh yeah, yeah.
uh
She, it
it suffered.
it suffered. It
Yeah.
suffered. 18 years, 17 years in, she suffered a stroke
Oh
herself,
wow.
and my dad passed shortly after she suffered her stroke. I tell people, because I believe in spirit. I believe in some ways my
Mm-hmm.
dad was like, you've done enough. I'm not putting you through,
Mm.
and they, she lived for about 10 years after that, but it compromised, her stroke. She lost some peripheral vision and had seizures as a. So
Mm.
I've been caregiving, worrying about parents. So
Mm.
when I have a lot of my friends now are where I was when I was 12 and beyond,
Mm.
meaning they're now
Right.
caring for
Yep.
their parents, and I have
Yep.
so much empathy for them,
Yep.
because I experienced that, but on the other end,
Yep.
and it's not for the faint of heart. But I'm
Mm.
so, and anybody that knows, I'm all about health. I'm all about wanting to keep my health, and health is mental health too,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in tip top shape, because I don't want my
Excuse
children
me.
to. I have a responsibility to take
Right.
care of myself emotionally, spiritually, mentally, as well as physically, because
Mm.
I think it's just unfair, and when you put yourselves in position that is going to compromise your health later on, and
Mm-hmm.
who's going to take care of you? You know,
Yeah.
your children,
Yeah.
and I think children have a right. Adult children, we know they're going to be there for us, but they have a right
Yeah, to
to
live their
live their
lives.
lives as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm glad you said that because I was saying that the other day, because I've been overweight since I was 10. And I learned um that my once I got my mental health better, that motivated me to lose weight.
Mm.
So over the past 2 years, I've lost like almost 40 pounds
Yay.
because just, eating
Yeah.
better, exercising, because I was always the type, like, I don't want to just have surgery to do
Yeah.
that. Like, I'm
Yeah.
that person. I'm like, I got to do it the hard way.
Mhm.
Like, I gotta prove to myself that I can do this. And then I done been to Weight Watchers,
Sure did
Bohemian
everything.
Diet. I done did all of the gamut.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jenny Craig, the
Oh, you went way
teas.
back.
Listen, Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, all of that. As a kid, I was
Yeah.
doing this stuff. And I realized after like through the pandemic, it was at points terrible, but it was a lot of like eye-opening moments. And for
Mm.
me, during the pandemic, I was like, you know what? Let me start making some better decisions. And I'm not perfect. I still need to lose more weight, but it's just like I'm better than what I was.
Yeah, you're
And I know
implementing better habits. Yeah.
I
Hmm.
saw a girlfriend and I noticed and I know now that losing it slower helps me maintain
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
rather than the quick fast, because I saw a girlfriend back in January. She was like, "Girl, you look good. Are you on Ozempic?" And I said, "What is that?" I was like, "No, I
Oh,
don't
you were
take."
late to the game. You didn't
Right.
know what it was.
Yeah, baby. I was like, "What's Ozempic?" Because now what I was doing, what I do is take those apple cider vinegar
Hmm.
gummies
Hmm.
from Golly. So, and I try to just drink more water and
Yeah.
of course get my exercise in. And she was like, "Girls, the diabetic drug." And I said, "I'm not diabetic."
Yeah.
And she was like, "No, people use it." And I'm like, "Y'all taking diabetic drugs to lose weight?" And
Yeah.
here's my thing: I have never been a fan of drugs helping you lose weight.
So
Because I mean,
it's
if you have a
yeah.
health issue, but not just cause
Vanity.
vanity.
Well, we know it's become vanity now. We
Yeah.
know that. But it's advancement. It is a game changer for people,
Mm,
and it is showing. Like I have a friend that has a center where she actually that's what she does, the
mm,
injections or what have you. And she did it and talked about how she's off her blood pressure medications
mm,
now. The research has shown it lowers cardiovascular
mm.
disease. So there are benefits to it. It came about as a diabetic medication. So now it's switching like just like
Yeah.
lots of so Wellbutrin was a medication for depression,
Yeah.
but Wellbutrin also helps people stop smoking, right? And so
Mm.
oftentimes in when
Okay.
you look at psychotropics, even though it was developed for one thing,
Mm,
you find out, oh, this works for this
mhm.
too. And it's not to villainize it. I say do your research,
Yeah.
with any and
Yeah.
everything, because it's easy for us to kind of say, I'd never do it, I'd never do it. But there's so many folks I know, many personally, who are talking about how it has changed their
Mm.
quality of lives.
Hmm.
But you gotta know, you gotta maintain it. It's
Right.
not
And
just a
that is
quick
my thing
fix.
because
You
you
gotta,
can't
yeah,
take it. That is my thing. You can't take it forever.
yeah, yeah,
You can't take it forever. So, and then I had a friend of mine who said that a friend of hers passed away due to what they believe are complications, and
wow,
he was taking Ozempic.
wow.
So I'm like, I'm a little, but
Well, a lot of folks getting black market stuff too, so you gotta be,
and
it's a whole lot of,
yeah,
you just have
stuff
to be,
stuff
you
that's
have to
not the
yeah,
actual
do your research
yeah.
with that, because I'm at that age now, perimenopause, right?
Me too.
And
Oh my
so,
gosh. Child.
we grew up hearing, don't do no hormone replacement. That causes cancer.
Mm,
That causes cancer. And every black female doctor that I know and respect is just like, that's not true. But it's the
yeah.
narrative we bought. And
Right.
so there's many of us as black women out here suffering with hot flashes every single day, wake you up at night, or other symptoms that
Well, I have this itching thing.
I mean,
I have
because your
this
skin
itching
starts to
thing.
thin.
I have
Yeah,
this itching thing. All of a sudden, I feel like I'm itching,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and it took my girlfriend Vanita. Shout out to Vanita Sanders. Um. Oh, and also, let me remember. Happy birthday to my sister Tanya. Today is her birthday. So shout out to my sister. Love you so much, big sis. But I have this itching thing now. Now the night sweat's not so much. I've always been someone who sweated in my sleep, so
Okay.
I'm not like drenched.
Yeah,
But I noticed that, and of course, my cycles are heavier
yeah, yeah.
now. It's just
it's not a
I'm
parade.
over it. I'm so over it. I told my OBGYN, can you just take the uterus out? Because I am done with it. I'm not having any more children. But she said no.
That's not gonna take away your symptoms of
Yeah.
menopause. Like you're gonna still have those
Ugh,
symptoms of menopause
girl.
if you know had it. And
Yeah.
that's why a lot of our mothers and grandmothers didn't talk about that. All we knew was the hot flash.
Right,
They
right.
didn't talk about other stuff, the
Mm,
sexual dysfunction, the
mm.
the change in
Yeah, the
stuff down
vaginal
there.
dryness. My
Yes,
friend says she's having some vaginal dryness. I'm
yes,
like, oh Lord, it's
yes,
all of this stuff we
yes.
go through as
All the
women.
stuff we go through as women. So I I have two older sisters and they had already gone through it. And when they were like, "Why are you having these hot flashes?" I was went and talked to my doctor because it wasn't just the hot flashes; it was the other stuff interfering with the quality of my life,
Listen,
right? And so,
listen.
I
Come on
I
now.
did make a decision to just get on a low dose of HRT, hormone replacement
Mm-hmm.
therapy, and within 4 days, it was just like night
Huh.
and day. So
Okay.
no
Any
hot
other
flashing,
side flat? No.
no, no,
Okay.
no, no, no side
Yeah.
effects.
Okay.
No side. But you again do your
So
I'm a
search.
my background is science. That was my
Yeah.
first
And what
degree. So
may
I'm gonna
work
do
for you might
may
not
not
work
work
for
for everybody
others. That's what
else.
we gotta look
And
at
you
too.
talk to your family because you guys share similar chemistry. So,
Yes.
talking to my same thing since we're, this is about minority mental health. Um, when you know a family member who may be diagnosed with depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, or whatever it may be, find out if they are being treated, what they're being treated with, because
Mm.
typically it's a good indication that that will work for you and you can save
Mm-hmm.
yourself a lot of, trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why it's important for us to just educate ourselves on the full
Yeah.
spectrum of health, the
You know
full
what?
spectrum.
Yep, and because that reminds me, and then we're going to go into the video in a little bit, Joe, please. That reminds me, I have an uncle. He's paranoid schizophrenic,
Hmm.
and so he's in a
AFC.
adult foster care home, and he's been there. He's um, okay. Look, it's 5 kids, so my mama's 77, and they stair step. The first four were stair
Wow.
steps. So my mama's 77, my aunt is 76, so he just turned 75
Wow.
last year. And it's yes, Beverly, you said I'm an advocate for HRT. Good, great.
That's
I'm,
right,
I'm
Beverly.
a,
We don't need no dryness over here.
listen, because that's the other thing that I had to tell the young girls. I was like, the sex get better as you get older
Oh,
because you know your
absolutely.
body better. But that's I digress. That's another topic for another day, y'all. Because trust the 20-year-olds, we are not envious of y'all, baby. Okay, we got a confidence like no other. But my uncle with paranoid schizophrenia, he grew up in the 60s, and my grandparents, for lack of education and because they were a praying family, we're
Yeah,
gonna pray it away.
yeah,
They did put him into an institution where he was getting shock therapy.
yep. ECT.
And so now, what is it?
Yep, electroconvulsive shock
Yeah.
therapy.
And so I think they regretted doing that because they didn't realize
Yeah,
that that was not the best.
yeah.
But guess what? Back then in the 1960s, they didn't know any
Listen,
better.
it wasn't until I started
Yeah.
undergrad they call it the 1990s. I started undergrad in 1990, exactly. And they call it 1990s the decade of the brain. They discovered more about the brain,
Mm.
and even medications for schizophrenia in that decade than all the previous
Mm.
decades before. Schizophrenia used to be a disorder that really just the prognosis was horrible because the
Mm.
medications that treated them basically was all sedating, institutionalizing. It just wasn't a lot of hope out there.
Mhm.
So in the 90s, they started learning more about the brain, what neurotransmitters are
Mhm.
implicated in schizophrenia. So now they can target it and start treating it. So there are good treatments out there now. But again, it's about trial and error. And
Yeah.
then unfortunately, with paranoid schizophrenia, like bipolar, you have a large you oftentimes have a lot of non-compliance. So
Yeah.
people get better and then they say, "Oh, I don't need
Ooh,
this
child,
anymore."
cause
Yeah,
Uncle is stubborn.
yeah,
Yes, cause honey, when we went and celebrated his birthday last year, he was giving them the flux then,
yeah, yeah,
and it is hard for me to watch my mom and auntie like in a way reprimand him and be
yeah,
like, "You got to do this and got to do that." I was like, "Well, he don't know
yeah,
mentally,"
yeah,
and but I know
exactly.
it's frustrating for them
Yeah,
because they've been his caregiver
for all this
for
time.
all
Yeah,
this time. So, that's definitely a struggle, and that's part of why I became an advocate, a mental health advocate. I've always, and especially as a social worker,
yes,
because I
yes,
saw a lot of our families, as you said, are traumatized. And when you have when you are in the hood, so to speak, a lot of the families I service, no one's saying to them, "Are you in grief therapy when someone dies?"
yeah,
They just keeping it moving. They are surviving. They're not thriving.
yeah,
And then they
yeah.
may have children who have special needs. And as mamas, we're not taking care of ourselves. Because we doing all of this.
Yes, yes,
So
yes, yes.
that's yes, they are still treating clients with ECT. Are
They are. They are. It's much safer now, and
they?
it's
Okay.
effective. So they are still
Oh, okay.
for stubborn depression, especially, and
Okay.
other disorders like this. They are still using. Hospitals
Oh
are
my
still using, but
gosh.
it's not the ECT from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Okay,
Okay,
baby, because
so
I
yeah,
just
don't
think of
imagine
that,
the spoons and the yeah,
yeah, putting that thing in their
yeah,
mouth, and that's
yeah.
all I
So for
envision.
really hard to treat stubborn disorders that's not responding to the medications, sometimes that's a last alternative, and it
Okay.
can be beneficial. So
Mm, mm,
yeah,
And see, that's my trauma as well, too. How well it traumatized me growing up watching my uncle because he
yeah,
would talk to himself,
uh huh,
and like you said, he would seem lucid at some points, and then other points he would just be saying,
yeah,
and he would be laughing
bizarre
to
stuff.
himself.
Uh huh.
And I just remember that as a little kid, and at the time, he was my uncle. I loved him, and he never hurt me. I didn't think anything of
Yeah,
it. Then as I got older, I was like, he was really struggling.
he was
He
struggling.
was really
Yeah,
struggling.
yeah,
So and so that's why now I really encourage people, please, get some help. Get treated. Get your family treated. And
yeah,
and
and know
don't
your history,
mm,
because schizophrenia, bipolar, those have strong genetic predispositions. So
mm,
there were people in your family before your uncle that
yeah,
likely
that
had
had
it. It
that.
may not have been
No, yep.
diagnosed. People just say,
You know
"Remember
what?
soul food?"
It might
Like,
have been oh my God.
uh huh,
Yes, my grandma had a brother like that who
yeah.
would be up in the attic,
Yep,
baby.
and just isolating.
Oh my
But we
God.
didn't diagnose that. They just,
Yes.
we gave it,
He
oh, he
crazy. He just
crazy,
yeah.
he strange. So this is why it's
Yes.
important. When I first started, and I would get
Yes,
the
it is.
history from patients that come in, and they'll say something like, my mother had a nervous breakdown, and there's no such diagnosis as a nervous breakdown. Let me just say that, right? There's no such diagnosis. Even when I think it was one time, Oprah talked about how she had a nervous breakdown. I was like, oh, come on now, that's not a
That's
diagnosis. We
not the
gotta,
right verbiage.
that's not the right verbiage, because
No.
that
Right.
doesn't
I
give
always
us,
wondered that what they mean. A nervous. I
yeah,
just thought somebody got on your nerves so bad.
yeah.
You just yeah.
So this again is not us
Mm-hmm.
really sharing our what it really is, because a nervous breakdown can be, are they having a psychotic or schizophrenic episode? Are
Mm-hmm.
they having a bipolar manic episode? Are they depressed and just,
Mm-hmm.
no motivation?
Yeah.
So it's easy to kind of say nervous breakdown, because people know that means that you kind of just checked out for a second.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to know what the
That's
diagnosis
right.
was if we're going to
Officially.
help you. Yes.
Officially. And social media puts an extra layer on that, I think. I think we witnessed a lot of people having some breaks
Yeah.
on social media.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think a lot of times, a lot of the celebrities or people will be, I was like,
Oh,
yeah, they having something is going on. And
I
that always in my mind, I said something is off.
it
Some mental health is
disgusts.
happening
Can I
here.
just say this as my own PSA? It's disgusting to see how um, they sensationalize mental illness in
Mm-hmm.
our society.
Yep.
Meaning, they'll show Britney Spears. What is she doing now? And it's
And I'm
obvious
like,
it's
that's
from.
not funny. I'm like, that is not
Yes,
funny.
she's mentally
Teach
ill.
Dr. Rose. A lot of families have and are dealing with this. Know your history. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yes. It's not funny.
Kanye West, and they'll say,
Yes, it's not.
what
I
would
really
make
feel
him?
sorry for
What
him.
would make him
Really.
do that? What? And I have
Yeah.
to really kind of refrain, because I see people post, and I see people,
Hmm.
and it's like, you these people are mentally ill.
Yeah, something is not right.
There is not
Yeah.
there's a break with
Yeah.
reality at times, and
Yeah.
so we cannot hold them to the same
Hmm.
expectations as we hold somebody who's not. And let's not show everything they do.
Right.
Let's not sensationalize it. It's just
Right.
almost, it's just,
Yeah.
it's
It does
disheartening.
bother me when I
Yeah,
see that because I'm like, I don't find it. And I was like, I don't want it. I don't find it entertaining.
no, no,
With especially with Kanye, all of that stuff he was
yeah,
going through. I was like, I don't see this as
yeah,
entertaining.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
it's something actually going on here.
yeah, yeah.
Going on here. So let's go into that clip. Look, we are already about to be 7:45. Jesus, we could be here all day. But let's go into that clip. And Gina Hughes says, I agree. Know your history.
Hey,
Yes.
Gina.
Yes. Thank you for everyone watching. Yes, yes. So let's go into this clip of and I'll let it play and we can discuss afterwards.
So it's been said that synchronicities, some people call them coincidences, happen in your life, it's God's way of kind of giving you a little wink. Like, you're on the right path or head this way. The last few months, I say even a year, my life has always been full of synchronicities once I started really becoming aware of the significance in my life. The last few months has just been so amazing, just the synchronicities that happen that is just blowing my mind. But there's one in particular I've been meaning to share it now. So probably about 6 weeks ago, I ran across this reel. And it was a guy doing a podcast. The podcast host was interviewing a guy who asked, have you ever wondered why flamingos lose their pink?
Thing about flamingos, how they lose their color?
No.
Oh, very interesting. So here's
And the podcast host kind of looked at him strange. And, I kind of wondered too where he was going with that. And the guy said, have you ever looked at a flock of flamingos where they're all bright, pink, that beautiful pink color they are? He said, and then you may see one or two who are actually white. And so the guy kind of nods his head, and if you go and kind of look at pictures, you'll see that. And he says, you ever wonder why that flamingo is not pink? And he says those are typically the mothers, the women of the flock, who have spent so much time pouring into others, giving to others, that they have literally depleted the enzyme that creates this beautiful pink color.
And so it's the only animal on the planet that God lets us see how much the woman is depleted while taking care of other people.
Wow.
And so a lot of women don't get their pink back for a long time.
Whew.
And it's crazy. It's good. Now when you see flamingos, you'll never look at them ever again.
Yeah.
So Google, why does a flamingo lose its pink?
Yeah.
And you'll say it's because the mother gives everything to its child, gives everything to its husband, gives everything to its spouse.
So many of us have poured so much from our cup that is empty. It's been an amazing year for me, but I have been feeling so depleted. And so I went around after I saw that video for the next day, kind of telling folks, I need to get my pink back. I'm getting my pink back. I'm getting my pink back. The very next day, I walk home, and I'm right here on the water, the Detroit River, in Detroit. And it started pouring. And I, come upstairs and I look out at the water, and it's like, raining out. And what do I see in the middle of the river? You can't make this stuff up. I've been on this water now for over 7 years and have never seen an inflatable pink flamingo floating down the river. And if you notice the video, that little pink flamingo is like bobbing down, it's tossing over. The wind and the rain is blowing it over, but it gets right back up, upright. And when I saw that, it was just further proof that God's got me, and God's telling me to get my pink back so that I can keep going, keep on this path. I just remember years ago when I heard the voice of God tell me, as long as you follow in my path, you'll never have to worry. And that was such a reminder, such a synchronistic reminder for me that, all is good and it's so much bigger than I am. So I just wanted to share that story with you guys.
Perfect. That's perfect. That's
Isn't that
perfect.
amazing?
So that and like because where would you see the Detroit River? How did that get there?
Girl.
Like who done put that there?
Listen, and again, this was like several weeks of stuff like that happening to me, like
Mhm.
synchronistic stuff. But when I saw this pink flamingo,
Mm-hmm.
and I just had to sit down and say, okay, I'm listening. I'm
Mm-hmm.
listening, like random with all the
Mhm.
current out there. But we were talking before, synchronicities, in my opinion, are, just a way, like I
Right.
said
There's
in the
no
video,
coincidence. I
no
don't believe in
coincidence.
coincidence. It happens. Stuff
Yes.
happens for a reason.
But we have to allow ourselves to be open to it, because I could have missed that if I
Mhm.
wasn't tapped in spiritually. You
Mhm.
understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I would have just walked past and not
Mhm.
thought nothing of it. But
Mhm.
because I'm so intentional about just being open to the guidance and direction that God gives us, that Spirit gives us. My center is all about holistic and, tapping into spiritualism. Psychology actually grew out of the theologic programs of colleges. Most people don't understand that. It was theology where psychology kind of came from. So a lot of it is like is integrated, in spirit, and I do a lot of that in my own practice and how I deliver services to people. But when we become aware, when we allow ourselves to say, okay, I'm open to receiving the messages that nature, the universe, God, whatever
Yep.
you choose, is giving
Exactly.
me, then you're able to see it, and it
Mhm.
helps to direct you.
Yeah.
Like that was confirmation. Like, girl,
Yeah.
get your pink back. And literally,
Listen.
I was sleeping till 9:30, 10 o'clock some mornings. I've told, yeah,
Listen.
it's been,
That's what I was about to say.
yeah,
How did you get your pink back?
you sleeping,
How are you getting your
resting,
pink back?
saying no, not having to meet every
Mm.
obligation, and not feeling bad about it, not having to make an excuse about it. I know even when I started feeling, the little sinus stuff, I said I canceled everything Tuesday, because I've learned the older I get, listen to your body.
Body rest.
When I was
Yes.
younger, I fight against it. Girl, keep
Yeah,
moving.
yeah,
Just
keep going.
fight
Right,
it.
right.
Go
Take
to the
some take
gym.
some
Do
medicine.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But now it's like, I'm gonna
No,
lay in this bed. I'm gonna watch some mindless
do you
TV.
know? Do you hear me? The way I will late and relish. Because people be like, I can't sleep in. Oh, I can. Oh, I can. Oh, I can. And this is the crazy thing. Like for the past, I want to say about 7 or 8 years, I don't use an alarm clock now.
Yeah,
I
I've
don't know
never.
what
Yeah.
it is, but now let's.
We have our own internal. That's you
It's
tapping in.
yeah.
We
I
don't
don't
need
know
an
what it.
alarm
Now, if I
clock.
got to get up for the airport,
Oh, you just
yeah,
want to make
I got
sure.
to. Yeah, I want to make sure I don't miss my flight. But it's crazy. Like if I have to know, if I know I have to get up for a certain thing for work or whatever, I'm up.
Yeah.
If I know I don't have to get up, I'm sleeping. And it's a crazy thing. It's like, and I'll be saying to God, thank you.
And
Because I
that's,
know
yep.
that you waking me up. Because I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna lay back down for like, I may wake up earlier. Then I'm like, okay, Lord, I know I got like 20 more minutes. I'm
Yeah.
gonna lay back down. And then 20 minutes later, I'll wake up again
But that's
without the
that
alarm.
mind body connection. We
Yeah.
all have it. We have an internal clock. Like, we don't have to tell the trees when to release the leaves, do we?
Mm.
We don't have to tell any aspect of nature, animals or what have you, what to do, because they internally, it's our coding. We get away from the coding that we have. We don't, and the more you kind of tap into your own coding, and that's where meditation, the sound healing meditation we do at the center comes into place, because that connects you back to self. That connects you back to this mind body connection that is your own magic that you have in life, that allows you, like you said, to really tap into that internal clock that you
Yeah.
have, and to tell you when your body may be low on some nutrient.
Yes.
And that we
Yes, I
just got to
know.
get back to the
Especially the
basics.
older I get, I'm like, let me sit down somewhere, or yeah, I need to get some rest, or I need to take my supplements. I
Yeah,
need to be more consistent, and that's also why I wanted to eat better, because I noticed like certain food would just make me feel sluggish,
yeah,
but other food would make me feel
yeah.
energized. So I really, like you said, I've learned to listen to my body, and that's one of the things I appreciate about getting older,
Uh-huh.
because hopefully you are becoming more in tune
Hopefully.
with your body.
Hopefully.
So let's talk about Bloom.
Okay.
I love Bloom. Listen, Bloom Transformation Center. I have got to get
You
there.
gotta get there,
It was one that
Rocky.
I signed up for, but I was trying to sign up for, but it was sold out. So
Oh
I'm going
wow.
to get there
Okay.
to
Yep.
I need to
We'll
get
welcome you
to the
in. Yeah.
sound session.
Yes.
So talk about the services you offer at Bloom Transformation Center.
So in addition to traditional psychotherapy, counseling, therapy, we
You take
offer.
insurance?
I no longer take
Oh
insurance.
no.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I do
Okay.
have great therapists that I'm affiliated with, so I
Okay.
can
Okay.
always refer folks. Yeah,
Okay. All right.
and that's just after 26 years. That was my choice, just
I
to give
understand.
myself,
Yeah. Hmm.
a break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. Check these
Um,
insurance companies. They be doing
yeah,
all them
it's a
shenanigans.
different world out there. It
Yeah.
definitely is.
Yeah.
And so we, in addition to the traditional, mental health services, we provide holistic services. And these are things that I tried, that I've done for myself, for my
Mm.
own healing. So we do trauma work. We have what's called TRE, trauma release exercises, where I train people in one session how to reconnect with their body's natural mechanism to
Mm.
discharge the negative effect even generational trauma has had on them. And I
Mm.
trained for this over the course of several weeks in New York many years ago, and people have overcome everything from autoimmune flare ups to back pain to sciatica to a lot of the
Mm.
physical things that we complain about. Pain, yeah, it's
Mhm.
pain, but it has an emotional root to it.
Mhm.
And
It's
people, we
psychosomatic.
don't, yeah. And
Uh-huh.
more medical doctors are, they always from the beginning would refer people to me, because you go to your doctor, migraines. We've had people come in with migraines for sound healing meditation and leave out. We had one girl who had just released from the hospital from an unrelenting migraine, and her
Mm.
mom told her, go to Bloom. She came, and I just happened to mention beforehand, because I let spirit speak to me. I said, this is good for migraines too. And she said, I was just released from the hospital.
Oh wow.
And afterwards, her mom later that evening messaged me on social media and said she's in tears at how her daughter was saying, my migraine is
Oh my
finally gone.
gosh.
Everything. We're
Because those can be
vibrational beings.
crippling.
It can be crippling, but
Yes.
chronic pain, people who come
Yeah.
in, meditation is just helping us to, like I said, the sound healing meditation to balance our nervous system, because when our
Mhm.
nervous system is out of whack, it lowers our immune system. It opens
Mhm.
us up to all
Yep.
type of not just emotional dis-ease but physical disease. And
Mm.
I know I see Gina was on there, a few others. I know there are folks who are regulars at Bloom that come, they be rushing in there, they get their unlimited monthly memberships, they swear by it.
Listen.
It helps them just become more mindful. The more we can get
Mhm.
out of this head of always just obsessing about future focused things or past focused things,
Ooh.
the more we can stay in the present, the more we notice pink flamingos, the more we get the
Mhm.
direction of, oh, this is the way you need to move. These are the people you should let go of. These are the things you should put in your body. So it's about really helping people to calm their nervous system and reconnect with their that mind body
Mm.
spirit component that we all have within us. And and what I love most about the services that I offer, we also have brain training machines that we actually rent out
Mm.
now so people can take it
Mm.
home and do it. But
Mm.
what I learn about
Is that
those,
similar to what Inception? Well,
yes,
okay.
yes, yes,
Shout out
yes.
to David McCullough.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. So that's similar. Yeah, same thing, same
Okay.
thing. So it's the
Okay.
same
And you rent the
machines.
machine, we can take it home.
Yeah, you take
Okay.
it home, because the
Hmm.
benefit from that comes when you are able to use it successively, like
Right.
for several weeks,
Right.
right? And
Okay.
so I got people were coming there, but everybody can't come every day for two
Yeah.
weeks. So I
Right.
finally got to a point, and most people around the country that have these machines now are renting them out, where it's like,
Mm.
okay, you can rent and use it for in-home use, and we can even set it
Mm.
up for several family members if that's what you want, and it's a
Mm.
huge cost savings as well. But what
Okay.
I love for all of those practices is that um, I call it passive healing. And what I mean by
Mm.
that is sometimes we can be so traumatized, we can be so caught in fight or flight or freeze mode that even the thought of starting, excuse me, traditional therapy is overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Okay,
much
go ahead.
easier.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was
Yeah.
doing so good.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Yep. I appreciate it. Because I definitely have to get there. I need that. I
Yeah,
need that because I struggle with um trying to anticipate the future.
yeah.
What am I gonna do in the future? What am I gonna do? How am I gonna be? What can I do differently? I struggle with that.
That
So
creates anxiety.
yeah, it does. I know. I be driving myself
Yeah.
crazy. I be driving myself crazy. My therapist be like, if you don't sit down somewhere, and I love how she gets me together. So just we gonna wrap it up. Do you have a therapist?
I started working, and every therapist should have a therapist. So to answer your question, yes.
Mm,
And I started working again intensely with her last year,
okay.
and I like therapists like myself that uses a lot of different modalities. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not just the traditional, modalities. We're going to look. I got therapists who are also well versed in other,
Mm-hmm.
modalities, be it, numerology, astrology,
Ah,
things of
yeah, yeah,
that sort.
yeah.
Call it what you want, but this
Okay.
goes
Because
back,
we. Mm-hmm.
to ancient times as well. We've gotten away, especially our culture,
Mm-hmm.
from the things that our ancestors used to
Mm-hmm.
help them better connect
Mm-hmm.
with themselves and connect with God.
Mm-hmm.
And I oftentimes say I just have issues with people just wholeheartedly accepting the religion our oppressors gave us without questioning
Mm-hmm.
what the motive
You
was
need
in it.
Jesus and prayer. I mean, you need Jesus and therapy. Okay, pray about it, and you need some therapy. Okay, so wrapping up, and I thank you, Dr.
Oh, my
Rose. So much
pleasure.
knowledge. Oh my gosh.
My pleasure.
I just really appreciate you so
Thank you
much,
for
and
having me, and thank you for offering this to the community.
oh, absolutely. I
Yes.
just feel like it's my duty to do that. I know I can be silly and tongue in cheek at time, but I do feel like it is. The social worker in me has always wanted to make sure that I'm making a positive impact.
Yeah.
Um, oh, good. So on the community. So yeah, right quick before we wrap up, where can people find you and so they can sign
Yep.
up and bloom?
So bloomtransformationcenter.com. So we have a
Okay.
website. You can go to Bloom. You can follow us on Facebook, Bloom Transformation Center with Dr. Rose Moten. There's another page someone created, like as a point,
Ooh.
but just make sure it's Bloom Transformation Center with Dr. Rose. As you can follow us there on all the socials. But our website, the introductory first class sound healing is a reduced rate of $20. So, and what I was saying is passive healing, because you come in and you go, people go to sleep. Sometimes I'll have 30 adults in there, and it looks like a kindergarten class with everybody napping, and people will come back and say, my migraine's gone, my chronic pain is gone, my relationship, emotional regulation is better. No one leaves out of there without feeling amazing. It's become a community. Sometimes we have to say, okay, y'all got people want to hang out, and it's become a community of people who are putting their healing first. And I love to see the friendships that are formed from people that come there, because when you sometimes decide to take this trek and journey, you may not have the support of your family. And so we have the people coming to Bloom are like-minded individuals who are, prioritizing their emotional and mental well-being. And so you can come find your village there.
I love it. I definitely need that emotional regulation, I gotta admit. So 2 last questions I want to ask first, and then we're gonna go into the 5 favorites. I always like to end with 5 favorites. What have you learned about yourself during your 26 years?
Oh my gosh, that's a good question. What have I learned about myself? That every experience, even the ones that have brought me the most turmoil in my life, was all part of the bigger plan, because it has helped me be just not a better therapist. When I first started therapy, my advisor said, what's going to set you apart from being a good therapist and a great therapist is your level of empathy. And as someone who's gone through divorce, children, losing a parent's grief, niece with suicide, like there's so many different experiences that I've had, that allows me to have a level of empathy I would not have ordinarily had. And I learned that my transparency is my power. My transparency is my freedom. And I don't apologize for that at all.
Yes, I love that. And that's part of what has drawn me to you at times. So I'm like, she be keeping it 100. And we need that. We need that. Even when people don't want to hear it sometimes, they might later reflect on it. And it helps them to be comfortable.
I'm planting seeds so we can bloom.
Okay. Let's go. So I try to strive for that as well. And I admire that in other people, because we have so much. And at this big age, I don't have time to be fronting. Like, I just be tired. Like, I can't do all of that. So, okay. So let's end with 5 favorites. Okay. Favorite food.
Jesus. I know this sounds crazy, but a good salad.
With all the fixes on it, baby, with some
like
spring mix,
Middle Eastern salad. That's my favorite.
Baby.
Food.
Yes. Okay. Your favorite treatment modality?
Sound healing, of course.
Okay. Your favorite travel destination? Oh my God, I got to get on that Costa Rica trip. By the way, woo,
Maldives.
Oh, I bet that was beautiful.
It was like I literally stepped off earth and entered into heaven.
Oh my gosh.
Like no lie to that at all. As the kids say, no cap.
Right.
You went through a portal and you were in heaven.
Oh
That's
my
how it
gosh.
felt.
I gotta get there. Okay. Favorite TV show or movie?
Favorite TV show, I got Frasier. I'm a Frasier fan. And my movie, gosh, what's my favorite movie? I don't know. I'm so horrible with favorites because I got so much diversity. But my favorite sitcoms are those classic smart sitcoms, like your Frasier. I could watch. That took me through Seinfeld, and the old 70 black sitcom.
Listen,
this is what helped me through the pandemic. The Jeffersons.
Listen, good times. Yes, good times. Come on now, Sanford and Son.
Yes,
I could watch it all day. You hear me?
That took me through the pandemic.
A lot of people did good times, but I'm like, y'all, I hate when people look at old shows through today's lens. It was groundbreaking for then. So I'm with you. I love my old 70s stuff, Green Acres and all of that. I was y'all Google it, the young ones who don't know.
Look, I can still sing the theme song of Green Acres. I just be at home sometimes singing.
Listen, Andy Griffith show. the Beverly Hillbillies,
Yeah.
all of those shows. I loved it. But of course, our black shows too. And I
Yes.
love like Facts of Life
Yeah,
and all of that. Yeah.
girlfriends, of
Oh,
course.
yes.
We're not gonna even we have to put girlfriends in there. That was so I
Mm-hmm.
love all my well written
Mm-hmm.
black sitcoms, and there
Right.
are so many great ones coming out now that I'm loving.
Mm-hmm.
I just got into Supercell. If
Oh,
you
I need
haven't
to.
checked that
Okay,
out
I need
on
to get.
Netflix,
Okay,
so that's a
I need to
very
get
good
into
one.
that.
Yes.
Okay, I had started watching and then I got distracted.
See, I'm a writer,
Uh huh.
so I've written 2 books, and
Uh huh.
so it has to be good. I need a
Can't be with
storyline
no
that is
foolishness, right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm real kind of picky when it
Yeah, I
comes
hear
to
you.
just
I hear
yeah.
me. Yeah, let me know if you need a copy editor for that next book,
Okay,
though.
I
By the
sure
way,
will.
shameless plug, y'all. I do edit manuscripts. Okay, last question. Favorite accessory?
Favorite accessory: a hoop earring, a big hoop
Ooh,
earring.
all right. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, I thank you, Dr.
Thank
Rose, for
you.
being here with allergies and all. I
I
really
know
appreciate you so much because I know how it is with that sinuses and
we're
stuff.
gonna get it under
We living in
control.
Michigan, honey.
Yes,
We living
yes,
in
yes.
Michigan. Get some Mucilin tea, I think,
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
can help with
I'm
that.
gonna go, and I've already started doctoring on myself, so I'm gonna go
Mm-hmm.
finish. I juice some fresh ginger, so we're gonna do some ginger shots when I get
Oh, you
home.
making me want
Yeah.
some ginger tea. Give me some
Yes.
good tea. Like people drink coffee, I drink tea.
Yes.
I'm a tea
Same
drinker
here.
all day with me some agave in there and just. And my kids got me electric tea kettle for Christmas. You know, I was just
Oh
so
wow.
happy.
Oh, the
I said,
simple stuff. The simple things.
listen, you know, you getting old when you happy to get an electric tea kettle for Christmas. I was just too happy, and it was my favorite color, purple. So I was just
Well,
real.
that's a ritual though, making tea. We got to get
Mm,
back to rituals
yeah,
because that's a self-care ritual.
yeah,
Even making tea, putting the bag, and just,
yeah.
these simple things like
Hmm.
that help you
Yeah.
stay present and get back into the present mind. So
Hmm.
don't take it for granted these things that, is just all part of our
Hmm.
wellness routine.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. True, true. All right. So thank you again. You all make sure you check out Dr. Rose Moten of Bloom Transformation. Get yourself together. Watch in the next few weeks or month or so. I will be posting some video of myself going to one of these
Oh
classes. I believe I
yes.
get the email still of
Yes,
it.
you
The
can.
email
We
still
have
come.
classes Wednesday night at 7, Saturday and Sundays at
Mhm.
noon, and
Okay.
it's an amazing.
I need to
We have
come.
folks that come from different states
I
now
believe
that
it.
come down there. It's an experience that you have to experience to really
I
appreciate
love
it.
it. I
Yeah.
love it. All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. And we will see you August 1st. August is Black Business Month. So y'all know I'm gonna have some black entrepreneurs here. All right. Thank you for watching Rocky's Reality. See you next time. Have a good night.